Welcome to our deep dive, everyone. We're going to be talking all about pyramids today. You guys have sent us a ton of articles and research, and I'm really excited to dive into it with you. I've been looking through some of this stuff and have a feeling this is going to be fascinating. I think we're going to find that pyramids are a lot more than just, piles of rock.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what's so fascinating, they're not all the same, right? There's so much variety in the shapes and sizes of pyramids,
Yeah.
It really speaks to the unique cultures that built them.
Yeah, that's true. I think when most people hear pyramid, they immediately picture those classic triangular pyramids like in Egypt.
Right.
But then you have like pentagonal pyramids, there's step pyramids, and even some that look like, honestly, like somebody like changed their mind halfway up on what they wanted to do. Like, what's up with that bent pyramid of Sneferu?
Yeah. The bent pyramid. And it gets even more interesting. So some pyramids actually fit into specific geometric categories, like Johnson solids, for example. Think of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Classic Johnson solids made entirely of regular polygons.
Okay, so hold on. Full disclosure, I'm much more of a history buff than a math person. So, what's the significance there? Why would ancient civilizations care about all these fancy geometric shapes?
Well, it shows a pretty sophisticated understanding of math and geometry. I mean, they weren't just stacking rocks randomly. They were using precise calculations to create these really magnificent structures. And it just speaks to their intellectual capabilities. I mean, they wanted to create something that wasn't just grand, but like mathematically harmonious too.
Wow. That really changes my whole perspective, to be honest. I'd always kind of thought it was more about the visual impact, but now I'm thinking of it as like a blend of artistry and like scientific knowledge.
Exactly.
Really.
And, speaking of visual impact, we can't ignore the most famous pyramids of all, the Egyptian pyramids, right?
Yeah, those are the iconic ones for sure.
And, we all learn in school that they're tombs, but their significance goes way beyond just like housing the pharaoh's remains,
Yeah, it's like you can't just say that the Mona Lisa is just a portrait, right? There's more to it.
There's got to be more to the story.
Exactly.
So these pyramids, they were designed to be more than just tombs. They were like spiritual gateways. So the Egyptians, they believed that a part of the pharaoh's spirit, they called it the Ka, stayed with the mummy. And the pyramid, it was designed to help that Ka ascend to the afterlife.
So it was all about ensuring the pharaoh's safe passage into the next world.
Yeah, and it was also about showcasing their power and connection to the gods.
Yeah.
Just imagine the resources and manpower it took to like quarry and transport and precisely position those massive stones. I mean, it was a declaration, right, of the pharaoh's authority and like a symbol of their ability to, command vast resources.
Yeah, it's just mind-boggling. And speaking of resources, I was reading about this recent discovery, the Aramat branch of the Nile.
Oh, yeah, right.
It completely changes our understanding of how they even did this.
Right. This lost branch of the Nile, now hidden beneath the desert. It might have been the key to transporting those enormous stone blocks. Just picture it. A once mighty river flowing right past the Giza Plateau, providing a waterway for their construction materials.
Wow. That really changes everything. It's like a missing piece of the puzzle suddenly snapping into place. It makes their achievement even more impressive, actually. I mean, it shows they harness the power of nature itself to help them in this huge task.
Totally. It shows their, ingenuity and their understanding of their environment, really.
Yeah.
And speaking of adapting to the environment, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about the pyramids built by the Mayan civilization, in the jungles of Mesoamerica. The terrain there and the climate, it was totally different from Egypt. And you can really see that reflected in their pyramid designs.
Yeah. Those are instantly recognizable with their, step sides. And those temples, they're perched right on top. They look so different from those smooth-sided pyramids in Egypt. But I guess I'm wondering, why pyramids? Was there something about that shape specifically that just resonated across these different cultures?
That's a great question. It seems like the pyramid shape, with its base on the earth and its peak reaching for the heavens, it held a very deep symbolic meaning for lots of cultures. For the Maya, their pyramids, they were mainly platforms for rituals and ceremonies, often involving sacrifices to their gods.
So while Egyptian pyramids were all about the afterlife, the Mayan pyramids, it was more about like connecting with the divine in the present moment.
You got it. Imagine those priests ascending those steep steps, reaching for the heavens as they performed their sacred rites. And these pyramids, they weren't just isolated structures. They were often built around central plazas, bustling with activity, social and ceremonial activity. They were really integrated into the daily lives of the people.
Wow. So it sounds like it was much more public and like communal in terms of how they interacted with the divine. And, I was also reading that there were actually two types of Mayan pyramids. Some you were meant to climb, like as temples, and others were considered too sacred to even touch.
That's right. And, that really speaks to the complexity of their belief system, different levels of access to the divine. And we can't forget their role as landmarks and navigation aids, too, in that dense jungle. Imagine those towering pyramids rising above the canopy, guiding travelers and pilgrims through all that foliage.
Yeah, it really is amazing how they were able to adapt this architectural form to their environment and their beliefs. And it's also really interesting to note that the Maya were pretty heavily influenced by earlier Mesoamerican civilizations like the Olmec.
Right. The Olmec and, other earlier cultures, they definitely contributed to that unique style of Mayan pyramids we see today. It's like a, cultural chain reaction almost. Ideas and innovations getting passed down and adapted through generations.
Oh, that's a really cool way to put it. So each civilization kind of brought its own unique twist to the pyramid, building on the knowledge and inspiration of those who came before them. And, speaking of building upon existing structures, that kind of brings us to the Aztecs, who had this fascinating habit of layering history into their pyramids.
Exactly. They often built right on top of existing structures, creating a multi-layered record of their past. So they had three main forms, the twin stair, single stair, and round pyramids. And what's really interesting is that all of their staircases faced west towards the underworld, according to their beliefs.
That's such a cool detail. It's like their architecture itself is telling a story, reflecting their beliefs about the cosmos and, the journey of the soul.
Exactly. And, despite all their differences in style and purpose, there are some pretty unifying themes that connect all these pyramid building cultures. They all saw pyramids as like sacred mountains linking earth and sky, symbols of creation and rebirth, and homes of the gods.
Wow. It's like they all tapped into this very universal human desire to connect with something larger than themselves, to reach for the heavens and leave their mark on the world. And you know what? They did it in a way that continues to inspire awe and wonder thousands of years later.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? How they still resonate with us, all these years later. And speaking of reaching for the heavens, we can't forget about the role of pyramids as astronomical observatories. Many of them were very precisely aligned with the solstices and equinoxes, showing just how advanced their understanding of the cosmos was.
It's really incredible. I mean, they were mapping the stars, tracking the movements of the heavens, and with such accuracy, too. It must have taken years of observation and study to achieve that level of, precision. What do you think they were hoping to learn from the stars?
Well, I think for them, astronomy wasn't just, a scientific pursuit. It was deeply intertwined with their religious beliefs, their understanding of time, their place in the universe. By observing the stars, they were trying to understand the cycles of nature, the will of the gods, maybe even their own destiny.
So they were reading the stars, trying to unlock the secrets of the universe and, their place in it. That makes a lot of sense when you think about it. If you believe that the heavens are the realm of the gods, then of course you'd want to learn as much as you can about them.
Exactly. And that kind of brings us to an interesting point. We've been talking about all these different cultures separately, but maybe it's time to take a step back and look at the bigger picture.
Okay, I like that. What kind of connections are you thinking of?
Well, like we talked about earlier, the shape of the pyramid, the base on the earth and the peak pointed towards the sky, it held a lot of symbolic meaning across all these different cultures. It was like a powerful metaphor for the connection between the earthly realm and the divine.
Oh, I see. So even though their specific beliefs and practices might have been different, they all kind of saw the pyramid as a way to bridge that gap between humans and the divine.
Exactly. And think about all that effort, all those resources that went into building these things. It really shows just how much they valued connecting with the cosmos, honoring their gods, ensuring that their culture and beliefs, would continue on.
Makes you wonder what our modern day pyramids would look like, right? I mean, if we were to build something today to reflect our own values and aspirations, what would it even be?
That's a really interesting question. I imagine they'd look pretty different from the pyramids of the past. But that underlying impulse, to create something grand, something that'll last, something meaningful, maybe that would be the same.
Absolutely. Okay. Before we get too far into the future, I think it'd be fun to take a little virtual tour, of some of the most iconic pyramids from each of these cultures. Give our listeners a little mental travelogue.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Let's start with the granddaddy of them all, the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt, oldest remaining wonder of the ancient world. It still baffles, engineers and architects today with just how massive it is, how precisely it was built. Just imagine, standing at the base, looking up at those huge blocks of stone, trying to even comprehend how they put it all together.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it. And, then just a short distance away, you have the Pyramid of Khafre with those casing stones still visible near the top, like a little glimpse into its former glory.
Right. And then, of course, you have the Pyramid of Menkaure, the smallest of the three, but still pretty impressive testament to the power and ambition of those pharaohs.
Yeah. What a complex. Okay, let's hop over to Mesoamerica. What Mayan pyramid should we visit first?
Well, we can't talk about Mayan pyramids without talking about the Pyramid of Kukulkan at Chichen Itza.
Right.
It's just, masterpiece of architecture. Astronomy. It's famous for that serpent shadow effect, During the spring and fall equinoxes, the shadows create this illusion. A feathered serpent descending the pyramid staircase.
I've seen pictures, but I can only imagine, witnessing it in person. It must be awe-inspiring. It's like they built the whole thing to perfectly align with the, the movements of the sun and the seasons.
Exactly. And you see that level of astronomical knowledge, in a lot of other Mayan pyramids too, like the El Castillo pyramid at Sunantunec in Belize. It's aligned with the solstices. And then there's the Temple of the Inscriptions at Palenque, thought to be aligned with the rising of Venus.
It's incredible. It really makes you realize that they weren't just building monuments. They were creating these complex astronomical calendars and observatories. Their pyramids were so deeply connected to, the cycles of nature and the movements of the cosmos.
You got it. And now let's head south, to the heart of Mexico. We're going to encounter the Great Pyramid of Cholula. So this thing, it's massive. It's actually the largest pyramid in the world by volume, even though it's partially hidden by vegetation.
It's like a hidden mountain, right, of ancient history. You wouldn't even know it was there unless you were standing right on top of it.
Exactly. And, it's a reminder that there's still so much that we don't know about these ancient civilizations. New discoveries are being made all the time, challenging our understanding of the past and, enriching our appreciation for just how ingenious and creative our ancestors were.
Absolutely. And then just a stone's throw away from that Great Pyramid of Cholula, there's the Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan. This towering structure built by a civilization that predates even the Aztecs. It just dominates the landscape, offers these amazing views of the surrounding valley.
And speaking of the Aztecs, they've got some impressive pyramids too, of course. The Templo Mayor in Tenochtitlan, their capital city, it was a double pyramid dedicated to the gods Huitzilopochtli and Tlaloc, the heart of their religious and political life.
Amazing. It's incredible to think about how each of these pyramids served as like a focal point for its civilization, a place where people would gather to worship, celebrate, connect with their, shared history and beliefs.
Absolutely. And while they may have been built in totally different times and places, each pyramid really does stand as a testament to that human desire to reach for something bigger than ourselves, to leave our mark on the world, and to connect with the mysteries of the universe.
Yeah, it's a truly humbling and inspiring legacy. And honestly, I think we can all learn something from that, even today. It's funny. As we've been taking this virtual tour of all these pyramids, I keep thinking back to something you said earlier about, what our modern day pyramids would look like.
Yeah, it really gets you thinking, doesn't it?
If we, as a global society, if we decided to build something that monumental today, what would we choose to express? What would we build?
What would our pyramids say about, about us, about our values, our dreams, our place in the universe?
Exactly. Would they be all sleek and futuristic? Maybe. Powered by renewable energy? Or, maybe more organic, integrated with nature, a reflection of our, growing awareness of the environment?
Maybe they'd be maybe virtual pyramids existing only in the digital realm, where, people from all over the world could connect and share ideas. Or what if they were collaborative projects built by entire communities, symbolizing, our interconnectedness shared humanity.
Oh, I love that. Imagine like a global effort, right, to create something that would benefit, well, everyone, like a modern day Tower of Babel. But instead of dividing us, it would bring us together.
What if these modern pyramids, what if they were like repositories of knowledge? Libraries, museums, research centers, centers of learning and innovation, accessible to anyone, no matter where they're from or their background.
That's a really beautiful thought. A place where knowledge is like freely shared, celebrated, a true testament to, our collective wisdom and our desire to push the boundaries of what we know.
And who knows, maybe our modern pyramids wouldn't even be physical structures. Maybe they'd be more conceptual. Like a global network of communities, or a shared set of values, a collective commitment, to creating a more sustainable future.
That's a really interesting way to think about it. It's like the pyramid shape itself could become a symbol for something much bigger than just, a physical structure. It could represent our hopes, our dreams, our collective journey towards a better future.
Exactly. I mean, the possibilities really are endless. And that's what makes this, this whole question so fascinating. It challenges us to think outside the box, to imagine beyond the limits of what we currently see as possible, and to envision a future where we can work together to achieve incredible things.
Well, I know one thing for sure. After this deep dive, I'm never going to look at a pyramid the same way again. They're not just ancient relics. They're, timeless symbols of human ingenuity, creativity, and the enduring power of belief.
Couldn't agree more. And as we wrap up our exploration of pyramids, I want to leave you with a thought. What would your modern day pyramid look like? What stories would it tell about our time, about what we value?
That's a great question. And remember, everybody, this is really just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to pyramids. There's so much more out there to discover.
Yeah.
A whole world of, fascinating history, incredible architecture, and really powerful cultural insights just waiting to be explored.
So keep digging, keep questioning, keep that sense of wonder alive.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring.